This conference will now be recorded.
Great. Lord, we thank you for a new day of life that you blessed us with. Pray we might be faithful to the call tonight. You give us open eyes, ears, and hearts to do what is best for those of our county we've been elected to serve and to represent. Pray we would do it well. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. We're going to do whatever 5 vote says it's going to do. I just called Jan Maynard for LaCog, and she says you can vote.
No, you can't.
Will you let me finish? Will you let me finish?
Okay, but go
Will
ahead.
you let me finish?
I'll let you finish, but she's not.
You gonna let me finish?
I will.
All right, that's respected too.
Well,
Yeah.
I was trying to explain, then I turn it over. Everybody have to say what they want to say.
Let's do it with respect.
Look that way too.
Yeah, both of you.
Okay.
Yeah. But you holler at her though.
No, I ain't gonna do that. I ain't no time.
Go ahead.
Dr. If anyone knows if I holler at you, I apologize.
I said,
But I got the floor, okay? Okay. So Jan says you can vote on the map with the proposed changes or with the demographics. That's what she just told me on the phone. You don't get on the phone and call. So I'm gonna do whatever 5 votes. If you want to recess or adjourn, make a motion and let's go home. But we're gonna do something tonight, one way or the other, whatever 5 votes wants to do. There's nothing wrong with adopting that map with the proposed change and the demographics that's going to control those boundaries of that map. That's all I'm going to say.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept map 2.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor to accept map 2.
Draft.
Map 2. Map 2.
Draft 2.
Or draft.
And second, Mr. Bullock. Any discussion? All in favor of adopting draft 2, raise your right hand.
Draft 2.
Yeah. The motion fails. Who else wants the floor?
I just have a question, and obviously we don't have the votes for map 6, and I'm fine with that. But I guess I wonder what's the point of a public hearing. I came to a meeting a couple months ago, pretty well made up my mind how I was going to vote. I listened to the public, and there wasn't anybody that showed up that voiced what I was getting ready to vote for. So I backed up and I said, well, the public had a right to come and speak. Got to listen to them. So the other night, we had we had nobody from the areas that were being taken out. Nobody came and said, hey, I've looked on the Bladen online and see that you're pulling me out of this district or that district. I don't like it. Nobody did. Not one person spoke for that. But we had a group of folks, and I was very thankful. They were very respectful. They spoke briefly, just shared their heart. And after they shared, and they didn't demand, they didn't, they just said, we would appreciate consideration, if it's something could be done. And they sat down. And then immediately they were attacked. They were called racist, and they were accused of not caring about children and about all these things. And I just think if we want the public to come to a public hearing, I think we need to be mindful that, I don't know. I guess I'm still trying to figure out, obviously District 1 needs to be a minority district. We need to protect that with everything. I mean, that's certainly, but just to attack people who, they didn't say we want out because we don't want to be in the, it was just it's like I'd said before, just some common sense things that seemed to be common interest with the two resort communities. I don't know. I just hate to think that our citizens were called racist and other things just because they showed up for a public hearing as they were invited to do and made a petition.
Can you clarify who called? I mean, what are you talking about?
After the folks from Matrix sat down, everything that was mentioned was, you're trying to do something that will divide this county. You're trying to do something that will put the minorities down. And I can't, and there may be something about that map that does make people seem disenfranchised. I don't know. I don't know what it is, if it is. I know that was certainly not the intent of moving Baytree into District 3. That was never, I don't, it's a public hearing. People have the right to come and speak their heart and mind, and just hate to see folks get sort of villainized.
Mr. Cogdell?
Okay.
The thing that I want to kind of err on the side of caution. When I looked at how we was proceeding with the maps and inserting maps, I took it upon myself to go and get the actual ruling that the legislature put down on how you were to handle redistricting at the local level, school board, and the city. It gave stipulation on each one of those organizations. And it talked about what you could do, what you couldn't do, and then it told you things that should and that they recommended to keep you from getting yourself into situations that could compromise your city. And I read that, and I got that thing right here now. And it talked about, with the Votes Right Act, that you had to be transparent with these maps. You had to let everybody see them. You can't hold a map. We don't have the authority to keep a map, concede its secrecy. It specifically says that in that statute, the law, let me just read it. You can't hold none of this stuff in secrecy. It has to be available to the public to see it. They have to be able to look at that map right there that we're looking at. If they've seen that map right there, the public seen a map that's incorrect. It's not right. That's what I was with. And what I'm trying to tell you, I was fine with map 9, but I was fine with what I seen, what I was looking at. Not saying that you want to insert something, but I was fine with map 9 when I looked at map 9 with what I seen and what was incorporated into that map. To me, that was transparency. Now I'm coming in here to look at a map, and you're telling me the map is incorrect. There's no other way of saying it. It is incorrect, incomplete. And people, who you can show that to? It is not a map. And it's saying this thing here that we're supposed to show this map, redistrict map, as Exhibit A in this resolution. Where's Exhibit A? That one is wrong. Demographics is not an exhibit map. That is wrong. How can we do this? I'm just saying, and they say, if you don't follow those 3 recommended guidelines, and I can give you stats and that thing right here. It say it opens you up for litigation, for lawsuits from all over the place. It's in this statute right here. You can read it. If you do this, so I'm saying we need to look at what we're doing and not rush too quickly to make a decision. I'm fine with map 9, but I was fine with what map 9 had. If we go back and agree to come back and put 9 up there correct, I'll be good with that. But I'm not good with voting on an incorrect map as an exhibit to go send out to somebody. And other people ask me, I thought I was in, I thought I was out, because they look at that map and end up seeing it, and it's incorrect. To me, that's wrong. We sit over here at the board and vote for something that's not complete, and it's getting ready to affect people for 10 years. Not one day, not 6 months, 10 years. And we just need to give them a map that's correct when we present it to the public. It needs to be a map that's correct, not no demographic. It needs to be correct.
What's the deadline?
7th month.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not gonna entertain what your comment, but you made the comment that the folks from Bay Tree Lakes had said their comment, and they talk from the heart. Well, so did next people.
Absolutely.
And so I was just saying, so I didn't think they meant there was no racial at all. That wasn't intent. And I think Mr. Goins came in and talked about the children. He said, don't put the politics in it that way. It's how we're doing it. And that was his comment. And maybe you missed that.
Well, absolutely. I couldn't figure out what that had to do with the redistricting. That was the only thing. And I appreciate
the political
my kids, so understand that.
Yeah.
I just wasn't sure what that had
It
to
was
do
the
with.
political side of it. But Mr. Chair, you said Ms. Mann is a lawyer. Does she understand the legal ramifications by this map?
She works for the firm that we hired to do this redistricting.
And I know it, but she does not have a law firm. They have an attorney on their staff.
I don't know if she's a lawyer.
Well, maybe she probably need to talk to them.
Well, you know, when I taught that, you don't even have to have a public hearing for this stuff.
That's what I just said. That's the reason I
You
read
don't
all
even
of
have
it.
to have a public
That's the
hearing.
reason I read all of it, Charles. And it said what it's supposed to do with the transparency and how these maps will be presented. They are not to be handled in a secret form. They are supposed to be available for the public to view.
It's in here, Mr.
They had been public, they had been on display for weeks.
So what I'm saying, that right there is out for the public view, but it's incorrect. That's the only thing I'm saying, it's incorrect.
Mr. Cardell, the other night when I said what I said was the things that you correct me where I tell you got anything wrong. I said the other night. I said the other night, when we voted that we were gonna leave that both sides of 87 open.
Okay.
That's what I said.
Okay.
And that's the only thing that the cog drew wrong when they drew the map. And I didn't catch it in time, or I would have had it.
Well, because I made that.
Everything else I said was correct, and that was the only change that the cog didn't make. But the cog has the demographics for what I requested and what the board voted on. So, we can sit here or we can go home. What's the pleasure of the board?
Charles, I'm saying,
We
if
can
the
adopt that with the
Make a motion.
proposed changes based on the demographics.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
I
sir.
got a question. You mentioned about the demographics and everything. Do they pick that up based on how the map is drawn?
They-
How they pick that up?
They picked the demographics up on the way the map was supposed to be drawn.
How can you do that?
They just didn't have time to get the map drawn. They could do the demographics.
They drew the other pieces of it, fit on there.
Good question. Which I kind of understood from the other evening, what we were, and I did take a look at the map, that kind of thing. And I was asking county manager a second ago, so when we offset Happy Valley and we go ahead and include that part as it exists now, with the existing map, and then East Hills area, that side of 87, been referring to that going back to staying in 3, which I think that was, like you pointed out, that was where the inconsistency was tonight with, draft 9. That population, is that what offsets going up? And I was asking Greg that's what going up and getting the northeast, that offsets that population? In other words,
You got to put numbers in District 1.
I wonder, but what,
that's
do we know what the population offset was there though?
What was it, Brett?
You remember?
Well, I mean, in terms of, with this new one,
In other words, okay, so if you take one, my understanding the other night was to try to get the other side of Happy Valley Road, kind of in there like they are now, like it's been, and that particular side of the road. And then of course, the stretch of 87 down at East Hills, staying in 3, that branch. All I'm asking you is going up and getting, what I call the Tomahawk trucking area up there, that offsets that population. That's what I'm asking, in other words.
You have to, Dan. I mean, that's where they had to go. You got to have numbers, and that's where you had to go get them. Either go there, or go more into Elizabethtown, or go more into District 2. That's the only place you can get those numbers. That's what they chose to do.
Map 3, that District 1 is just about to wrap around the whole county. That's what it's all the way down the county.
Because the population is declined down there, and every time you do a census, you have to add more to it to balance it out for the courts.
Please, y'all understand, I'm not opposed.
I hear what you're saying, but I don't agree with it.
I just don't go along with voting on something that is incorrect.
It's not incorrect.
It is incorrect.
The math is, but nothing else. It's just stated is correct, ain't it, Mark?
We don't know.
All right, let's go. Chairman, were you making a motion? Mr. Barton?
it is, Dan pointed out to me, and I want to be sure we're pointing for all transparency, it's pointed out to you. There is a 5% variance. There's a 5.14% variance on the low side in District 1, and there's a 5.51% variance on the high side for District 3. And when you add those two together, you do get slightly above 10%.
So the above, it still be very. Below than 10% is what you said, so now you're above. You're almost 11.
Yeah, we could consider, everybody got their own opinion, like I say, take 5 votes and do whatever. I know you're getting ready to go on vacation. I know you're getting ready to leave town. You say you got some things you need to take care of. You want to get this done today. Mark is here. You're gonna be out of town. You can zoom in. We all can zoom in. But why is it we got to be urgency tonight to deal with this map? Why can't we just say, okay, when the correct map get here, we'll just call the phone. If McGee want to make his motion, make the motion. I just don't want to vote on something that's incorrect. That is my only thing.
Cardell, the demographics is correct. You draw your map off the demographics. So, let's just do something. I mean, they already sitting here talking about
He just
it.
made that point up. He did, the lady said it's supposed to be less than 10%, and we're over 10.65. So that's kind of off too. You might need to fix that before you.
She just called my cell phone and told me right before I walked,
Yes, okay.
right before she sent. So I just wanted to
It's
make sure
almost
you all-
11%, and 50% less.
So what's the impact does that have?
Well, it's all about,
I know what it's about, but I
all
mean,
the things she discussed is all you're trying to do is make it as sound as possible in the event that there's any type of litigation. And so, there's no law that states it or whatever, it's just the best practice to help make your case more solid in the event that you did have to.
I just felt like, I'm not an attorney, but I took my time to read through that literature, that 22-page document. And I just looked at some of the things that it said about the 3 best practices for a board to consider whenever they do, when they go on district map. You have 3 best practices to keep you from getting in litigation. And basically what it says is you open up this door, any citizen in your county or your organization, it leaves the ground for them to go and file petitions, litigation against the map. It just says that. That was the best, they say, the transparency of it. And that falls into the Civil Rights Act of 1965. It's in the writing now.
you got guidelines to do anything, God. They've got guidelines to get out of your vehicle. Okay. All we're gonna do, people, let's do something.
What's the date again, Mr. Martin? What's the date?
Ma'am,
The date for this resolution is when? November
it's
what?
whenever you approve it.
Oh,
The date for
when
the
we do it?
resolution. If you said the date for this resolution,
You haven't done it. That's what we,
no, that's what you're ultimately approving.
so you're saying that now we have,
Yeah.
we have 10, well, so we have 4 days, 5 days left?
I got Mr. McGill.
One question though.
I'll give you all, Mr. McGill's had the floor.
Make a motion, we approve draft 9 with the amendment, just like any other motion you would make, an amendment to make sure the map matches these demographics, which would include the lower part of Broad Street in that one area, so that it's basically,
What Broadway? Hold on, I didn't know that Broadway. Hold on.
They're on 87, the section we've been talking about the whole time.
You didn't tell me that was messed up. You just told me down here.
That's Broad Street.
That's called
Broad Street
too.
That's 87 Broad. East Broad.
I got a motion on the floor, is there a second? Second. Second by Mr. Briggs.
You're done.
Any discussion?
I've got one question, Mr. Chairman.
Judge Broad,
You might have answered this already.
he said Broad, that's right here.
Mr. Bullock, you got the floor.
But now, if we approve a map today, would we be in violation of section 2 on this resolution?
We ain't in violation of that.
Okay.
Public ain't gonna be up to Monday, you have the right map Monday. Public.
So you have the right map for the public to review it Monday?
This stays in red.
And it'll be
Showing everything with the changes.
okay. So you're saying that's
not right, Mr. Bullock, then it's no good.
I'm saying
Motion based on it being right.
so you're saying the motion that he made was that the map will be redrawn to show the right thing.
so that map matches these demographics, which as far as we know, the only, let me back up, let's scratch as far as we know, which the only change would be the lower side of Broad Street, 701 or 87 business, whatever you want to call it, that would be in District 3 rather than as it's drawn there.
The only
Okay, I need to write that.
the only thing what I'm saying is,
Broad,
and I'm gonna leave it, this is the last comment. That's a visual perspective.
Broad East.
It was interesting to have. Not verbal or numerical perspective.
Okay.
It's a visual perspective. How in the world can, if you telling me you're gonna put in Broad Street, when I looked at the map today, I looked at it closely by streets and everything, and I looked and I said, well, that's still in it. I said, how'd that come out? And now, we sitting here and we're looking at a map. I'm trying to figure out, when you say what's gonna be on Broad Street, what specifically is gonna be on Broad Street? Is all the houses down through that area?
Cargill, I walked you over and I showed you.
Look, I'm like, is houses development?
It's the same thing that's in District Three
Is
now.
it the front in it, across the front, or is it east
It's the same thing that I
gate?
showed you.
Which one of these areas are gonna be included, Charlie?
Okay, any more discussion? Mr. Hester?
Okay, the only issues I've got is we've been told that we're outside our 10%. I mean, we're being cautioned that when we sit here tonight. But I think, I don't like that part of it. I'm new to this, but I mean, when the county manager's saying that's what it's supposed to be in, and then we're not in that compliance, that worries. And that section 2, if we sign this thing today's date, that means those maps should be available to the public. And it's not gonna be today's date, because they're not here. I'm just saying.
All right, Mr. Hester, let me just tell you, that's only a recommendation, that 10%. It ain't nothing you got to follow in concrete.
Yeah, but I don't want to end up.
Okay, you got this, that's cool.
Okay, fine.
But I'm just trying to explain to you, there's nothing in concrete.
But at the same time, Mr. Chair, you have to have rules and bylaws that you want to follow. Otherwise, everybody's gonna go out, skew to the left, skew to the right, skew to the north, and then say it's okay.
Well, you get as close as you can is what you try to do.
The thing about it is we're here because the numbers aren't adding up as far as the district lines being changed, but now we're gonna sit here and say, oh, it's okay though. So if that's the case, just keep the existing thing we got.
I don't, what are you talking about? I'm following you.
Okay, we're here because the numbers have gone.
In District 1, the numbers are low, where you got
So
this,
here we are saying that we're still outside our 10%, so why don't we just keep the existing?
Because you're way out of your 10% there.
It was how much?
Map 2 does. Map
It's
2
not an
does.
individual, with the existing districts as they are, District 1 alone is outside of the ideal population by over 15%. All I was pointing out to you is exactly what Jan called to point out to me is, I don't know if you recall, Janet Robertson talked about the fact that ideally, the variance between any districts would not exceed 10%. And this slightly does, and it's not 11%, but it's slightly more than 10. And I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
But map 2 does that.
Can you ask for an extension on these maps to turn them in, or they got to be mandated that they be in by the 17th?
The
I read
statute,
that,
the
the statute.
statute states so.
They say, even with that, you can ask for extension.
Yeah.
You can ask for an extension. They not gotta have this on the 17th. You don't have to have them on the 17th. That's what I'm saying. That rule, if you read it, that 22 pages, they tell you can ask for an extension on it.
Okay, so I got a motion on the floor, and I got a second. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. 2, 3, all opposed? So, does not pass tonight.
I make a motion that we vote on the map 2.
Well, no, we don't have that.
Make a motion, we ask for an extension
We-
and revisit this at our next scheduled meeting on the 22nd with the amendments.
I won't be on the 22nd. I'm doing it.
So, Mr. Martin, can you see if we can get an extension, and then we'll call everybody, we'll recess this meeting till we can find out the answer to that, and then we'll come back.
Yeah, can I ask you this real quick, though? Ask one question. Why is it he can't make his motion? How can you
You
not?
already voted on that.
I
Okay, make your motion.
Yeah, but still, there's
I'll make a
changes.
motion. If I can. I'll make a motion that prior to the 17th, that we, with the proper map coming back, so it's visual, like Mr. Cogdill points out, just have that rescaled, have it brought to where it's accurate, so it does come across better at the meeting for the public, that kind of thing. And then, of course, we'll come back and convene if we can prior to the 17th.
That's Monday.
Yeah.
Well, but that still doesn't satisfy Mr. Hester's concern.
I understand, but I think, well, my recommendation there, if it's possible, then we need to, it's Monday. I mean, we have Monday to get it.
So the reason I said about the map being right, they said that we could not conduct this business in a closed session environment. It's against the law. It had to be an open meeting for open hearing. You couldn't even consider that because that's secrecy. And if you did that, like we sitting here talking about now, doing a map, but we don't have all the.
We are not in closed session.
I didn't say that. I'm saying we're dealing with something that's not accurate, y'all.
Okay, Cardell, it failed.
Okay.
It's Wednesday.
I mean, you understand it didn't pass. So do you want to try to get extension, or you want to meet one day next week? That's my question, please.
Greg, see how long can we get this?
What is the pleasure of the board?
I'll motion that we seek, extension.
And if you can't get extension,
Then we'll meet
we meet next week.
Next week.
We'll revisit the map.
The issue, or not the issue, one of the factors is to be sure we're all on the same page of why behind the thing is because filing time is coming in December, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
And so that's the reason that the earlier the better, I'm out to say that.
I tell you,
Whatever, I'm trying to see what the pleasure of the board
The
is.
only thing about that is they're getting ready in the state,
Mr. Brett,
the state, like, they get ready.
Mr. Brett,
Mr. Martin, but the new maps don't represent the numbers that we have right now.
It's still like 10% out. Yeah, they're 10% out.
Right, but I'm just thinking about from a filing perspective, if a candidate's interested.
So I understand that, but what I'm saying, the map that's being drawn right now will represent the numbers that we have. And based on what I have read, the small percentage over 10% doesn't have any effective variance that causes a violation.
It's just one of those best practices is what they say.
Right.
Yeah, and that's why Jan, it's not, there's no law, that's right.
this meeting is recessed until next week.
When next week?
It's recessed next week?
What day?
We don't know. Greg's gonna try to find out, and then we'll call everybody.
Okay.
Now, what do you find out what do you have to find out?
Before an extension.
Monday is 15th, not the
That's right.
If you can get
Let
some
me
money,
try to crystal clear.
Greg, I think what they want you to do, see if you get extension. If you can't get extension, we're gonna meet next week. Okay, is that right?
I'm fine with it. We just make sure everything's right, correct.